Absolutely perfect timing. Just this past weekend, I reviewed Hank Weathers, who most likely is the King's son. And of course, today, I'll be reviewing all the variations of Mr. the King, except for one. I'll get into that later on in the video. But not only are we reviewing all of the variations of the King, we're also celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Dinoco Blue 43. I hope you're having a great day. And if you're watching this after your birthday, I hope you had a wonderful day. Maybe you received some cars or planes for your birthday, or maybe some money to go out and buy some cars or planes, but most likely cars because there aren't many planes in the stores anymore, at least not many that are actually new from 2016 and definitely not 2017. But anyway, as you guys can probably tell, he's a huge The King fan, of course. Dinoco Blue 43, referring to the King's sponsor, number, and color. So I really hope you enjoyed this video and it lives up to what you'd hoped it'd be. And if anyone else would like to make a birthday request or just a normal suggestion video of their own, you can definitely do so, but make sure you submit your request at least 1 month before your birthday. I've been getting a lot of requests for birthdays that, I don't know, are next week, in 2 weeks, but I'm sorry, it's gotta be at least 1 month before your birthday. Otherwise, I don't have enough time to do it. These videos don't take 2 seconds to make. They take quite some time. I need that advance notice, so if I have something going on, I can pre-record. So please do that. Otherwise, I can't do your request, and you'll have to wait until next year. So without any further ado, let's get right into this review. So of course, as you guys know, the King appeared in Cars 1, and he will appear in Cars 3, but we don't know how or where yet, so we'll just talk about Cars 1 in this video. And of course, in Cars 1, he was the veteran racer going throughout the entire movie pretty much, at least at the beginning, and at the end definitely, and throughout McQueen's dreams of course as well, because it was all centered around Dinoco, which was the King's sponsor, and then the Dinoco sponsorship would go to the winner of the race, but ended up not going to either of McQueen or Chick Hicks because Chick Hicks was a foul player and McQueen didn't want it. And so I'm getting off track, but anyway, the King, he appeared there. He of course lost that race unfortunately and crashed, and that's how we get the damaged version back there. And that's pretty much it. I do want to mention though that he's based on and voiced by Richard Petty, who drove a 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona, which is the model of the King here, and was a very successful race car driver. So it's very cool that they implemented a real life thing into the Cars movie. I always like when they do that, and they do it kind of frequently, like with Daryl Cartrip, Bob Cutlass, Brent Mustangburger, etc. And of course, Jeff Gorvette as well. You can't forget him. He's one of my favorites actually. So that's pretty much it for his appearance and other aspects to that. Moving on to his releases. No, not gonna go through all of them, guys. There are so many. Since 2006, when he was initially released, which is in this package right here, the Desert Carback, he has been released so many times, every year I believe, except for 2011 and 2012, because of course, those were the Cars 2 only years, as I like to call them. So that was the 2006 release. Here's the 2016 release. This one has a slightly different name tag because, of course, the King's real name is Strip Weathers, but he was nicknamed the King because he was just so good. And now one variation that I won't be actually physically reviewing out of the package is the rubber tire version right here, exclusive to Kmart. I don't really feel a need to have this one out of the package because, visibly it's not different. But when you go to feel the tires, then yes, you can feel the rubber versus plastic difference. So moving on here, let's see what else I have. I have the 2014 version of the King in the Piston Cup series. I always like to buy the King from different years because he is very desirable despite being a main character. Most main characters are pretty easy to find because they're overproduced, but the King, not so much. I feel like that's because at that point, he extends to a much larger audience because it's not only Cars fans, it's also Richard Petty fans who may have not even seen the Cars movie. But here we have Damage the King as a single. very, very rare. One of the rarest 2009 race Orama singles. I don't know why. Again, it's probably because the King is just that desirable. I believe he goes for around $40 to $50 on eBay. I haven't checked in a while, so it might have gone down, might have gone up, but either way, he is pretty rare. So if you have him, great job. He was also released in a 2-pack with McQueen in 2 years, I believe. And now there is a lenticular version of Damage the King that was available in a 2010 Final Lap motif, I guess you could say, a 3-pack. I think Dexter Hoover and McQueen were the other ones in the pack. So I believe that's all for his release and appearance and all the introduction stuff that some of you might find as boring, but want to go over it anyways. And now let's get into the review of the variations of the King. So for now, I'm just going to simplify it for you guys. Let's remove this one for a second. So basically, we have the non-lenticular versions of the King, and then we have the regular, or not regular, my bad, the lenticular versions of the King. So as you can see here, you got regular on the left, and then you have metallic, and then you have damage on the right. So we're just going to go through them, review them, and for the lenticulars, we'll just breeze over them because they are pretty much the same except for the eyes. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there's one version of the King that I don't have from Mattel. Now, just so you guys know, this is only Mattel plus Disney Parks. Nothing from the Disney store. Nothing at all. But getting back, the one version that I don't have is the version 2 from 2010 Lenticular the King. I only have the version 1 from 2009. So I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the lenticular version there, but let's just start off with the King here. So he's got the big Dinoco logo there on the hood, 4343. He's got that awesome smile that has been with us since 2006. On the side, we got his iconic number 43. And of course, his secondary sponsors, which are Piston Cup, No Stall, Mood Springs, Violin, Little Torquey Pistons, Gas Sprint, Easy Idle, and Retread. Now, I feel like this is pretty cool because if you guys think about it, most of the racers from Cars 1 had a lot more secondary sponsors than the King. See how many McQueen had? And that goes for all the racers and, of course, Chick Hicks as well. Now, for the King, I guess he doesn't really need that extra sponsoring because he is the veteran racer, and that's being reflected in Cars 3 with McQueen. McQueen only has a couple sponsors, whereas before, he had a lot more. He has silver rims with black Lightyear tires, the Dinoco rim across there. On the roof, we have 43. Unfortunately, it does not say the King on the side there, but I guess that's just being modest. On the back here, we have Dinoco and 43 again, and his awesome spoiler. I love this spoiler. It's really, really cool. On the base here, we got quite a lot of codes, and that tells me that this is one of the more recent versions of the King because back in 2006 here, he wouldn't have as many codes on the base. So I'm not entirely sure which year this is from because I have so many duplicates of the King because he was available in multi-packs, and so I had to buy those multi-packs to get another exclusive. So I just wound up having a lot. So this probably is from, I don't know, it might be 2013, maybe somewhere around there, maybe 2010. I don't really know, but it's definitely not the original 2006 version. So that's all for the King there. He's pretty sweet, you know, he's really, really unique and cool and just gets overlooked to cars collectors because you just see him quite frequently, despite him being rare, you know. I feel like I'm contradicting myself, but you know, collectors nowadays, they're into the background characters that are different that we haven't seen much of because, of course, the King we've seen since 2006 and now it's coming on 11 years. So it's nice to see some new background characters that are different and unique, but nonetheless, the King is very, very unique, and I cannot wait to see how he looks in Cars 3. So here's the damage version, looking very accurate to the movie. Of course, he is quite sad there, as to be expected. His spoiler is bent, he's got the grass stains throughout his body, and the paint is not glossy, it's actually a matte finish, which doesn't give us the glossy and shiny look of the regular King, as you can see there. Light kind of reflects off of him, but on the damage version, not at all. I understand why they did that, because they want him to look weathered down, because he just rolled like hundreds of feet in the grass, so it makes a lot of sense. I'm glad that they did it, because It just makes it more realistic and accurate to the movie. As for the decals, they are exactly the same as the original version. Obviously, he's not going to lose any decals while going throughout the grass there. However, as you can see for the Dinoco logo, the letters are closer together and they look to be bolder. Not sure what happened there. It's probably just kind of like one of those manufacturing things where they use like a different spray tampo thing or whatever. I don't know how it works, but they're definitely different. You know, there's the comparison. This is definitely a 2009 version because he was only released as a single then. And you can see definitely a lot less information on the base here. You got a date stamp, and you got Disney, Pixar, China, and then, of course, Plymouth Superbird. Now, don't know why that actually says Plymouth Superbird because he's a Daytona, right? I'm pretty sure, guys. He's a Dodge Charger Daytona, 1969. I mean, I think that's true. Let me know in the comments below if you guys are like yelling at your screen because I keep saying Daytona, but you know, maybe it's a Plymouth because, or maybe they're connected. I don't know, guys. You know, these car companies and model brands, they confuse me sometimes because they're quite similar sometimes. So, here we have the lenticular version of the damaged version. Don't worry, I didn't forget about this one. We'll get to him in a second, but here's the damaged version. I actually kind of like this lenticular version, but, you know, overall, I hate the lenticulars because, like right there, looks like an alien. He's got 4 eyes, and that's the part about the lenticulars I hate. They were just not made well, or they're just not supposed to be made, because at that stance right there, boo, I just hate that. So, you know, at that stance, it looks a little bit better, but you can still see the other 2 eyes there. But this one actually is not as bad because, you know, when I look at it most of the time, it actually kind of looks decent. Like when you see this expression, it's actually pretty good. So that's a damaged version. Decals are exactly the same. You can't really expect a big difference. However, the grass stains are slightly different. Take a look at the lenticular roof here. It's not, you know, pretty blue still, not too green, but if you look at this one, definitely a lot more dirt and grass stain on his roof there. So there is a slight difference there. And now let's take a look at the metallic version. Now, just so you guys know, this metallic version is most likely a factory custom made from China that was not actually released by Mattel officially. I got it because it looks better than the lenticular version that Mattel made as a chase in 2010. I definitely prefer the non-lenticular version, but I'm pretty sure it was not officially released. I actually don't know how I wound up with it. Pretty sure I just got it online, but it was definitely from a US seller. So just a little confused because I can't find any of the non-lenticular version in a package, so pretty sure it is a factory custom. Of course, back in 2010, I wasn't as into cars as I am now, so I wasn't as aware, wasn't online on all the forums, and of course I wasn't on YouTube, so a little bit less knowledge about that part of the entire cars line. So, you know, they are pretty much the same here. Of course, the colors are a little different, just slightly, but all in all, they are metallic. And you can see that the lenticular version there has that eye stance and that eye stance as well, or position, I should say. And the original, or not the original, but the non-lenticular has the typical smirk, and not really a smirk, but just a genuine smile that the king always has. So the decals are exactly the same, so no need to really go through them. Here's the base. The base looks legitimate, but of course we all know that the factories over there in China can easily recreate the bases or whatever, but it actually says 1970 Plymouth Superbird, so I'm probably wrong in saying that he's a Daytona. I just looked it up on Google for confirmation, saw it on a wiki page, and said it in the video, so I'm sorry about that, guys. You guys are probably commenting in the comment section below saying, RZ Cars 5, you got the name wrong, but I'm sorry about that, guys. We all make mistakes. And I just have to get these videos out. I can't take too long to research and get all my facts straight before we actually start the video here. So I assume that I did make a mistake, and it is in fact a 1970 Plymouth Superbird. Those are pretty easily confused, at least for me. I've always heard the debate going back and forth over which one he is, and I guess I just forgot about the actual one and then saw on the wiki page something inaccurate. So, moral of the day. don't trust everything you see on the internet. So yeah, getting back to the regular lenticular version, this was actually from 2009. It was released as a single, but I got it from a 4-pack that had Fusing. That was the reason I bought, because I didn't have Fusing, so I bought the 4-pack to get Fusing. And of course, it also had McQueen, Chick Hicks, and the King. Consequently, they're all lenticular. Now this was the primitive version of the lenticulars that only blinked. So you got, it looks like he's falling asleep. I mean, alright, you can kind of see it there. You know, you got his typical look with that smile, and then you got that. So I guess he's sleeping, he's got the blink going on. So I don't really like this at all, but the decals are exactly the same. I definitely wanted to show it in this video because it is a variation of the King. So that's all for the 6 right here, the core 6 as I like to call them. And now of course we gotta get on to the exciting one. Not saying these aren't exciting back there, but I mean, come on, look, the King has a gun now. Of course, if you guys don't know, this is the King as Lando Calrissian. Might have pronounced that wrong. Sorry, I haven't watched the movie, the Star Wars movies that has a Lando in it. I've seen episode 7 and Rogue One. I really liked Rogue One, but I haven't seen the first 6 episodes. I will though. I promise you guys I will. I really do like the Star Wars movies. Just don't have the time to sit down and watch a 2-hour long movie. But I will eventually get around to watching it. But anyway, here we have Lando as the King, or the King as Lando. And he looks like Lando. I'll show a picture of Lando from Star Wars so you guys can compare. I actually haven't seen him in a while, so I forgot. But I'm pretty sure he is very accurate. Now, this was released in 2015, I believe, in a box set with Ramon as Han Solo in Carbonite, and one of the Bespin guard pitties. I think that was it. So it was a pretty cool pack. And, you know, it was actually very surprising to get the King portraying a character from Star Wars. I thought they were just going to stick with the basic ones, but they did extend it out to the King. So that was cool. So he's got like a blue metallic paint job, black on the top, orange outlining around the windows there, orange rims. He's got his gun here, his little, I would assume, laser gun. And then as you go on toward the back, he's got his iconic spoiler there with the blue stripes. And here are the lights on the back, and here's the base. Now, like I said, this is a Disney Parks release, not made by Mattel or anything. This is Disney Parks. That's not the Disney Store either. So there are 3 companies that make Disney cars, I guess you could say, broadly in America. In Asia, you got Tomica, and there's some other smaller brands as well. But you got Mattel, Disney Parks, and Disney Store. This one happens to be a Disney Parks. It uses screws instead of rivets like for the Mattel ones. And it does actually say Plymouth Superbird. I feel so bad for making that error. Can't believe that wiki misled me, but I should have been a little bit more careful. So that's pretty much all for Lando there. I don't really have anything else to show. I believe that's pretty much it. I actually like that they changed up the expression because it looks it's new. It's nice to see a new expression on the King after seeing him for 11 years with that kind of generic expression there. Now, I gotta show the gold one. So, this is most definitely not an official release from Mattel. As you can see, Mattel, you can't see, but Mattel never released this in stores. It was a factory custom made by the Chinese factory workers. I would assume without even Mattel's consent. They used the King mold that they have in the factory there to recreate. And now I have to say, this is an amazing factory custom. It's one of my all-time favorites because the gold just looks amazing. I highly recommend buying one if you don't have one already. So this is just a gold version of the King. You know, there are no other differences besides that. The base is loaded with stuff, but I can guarantee you that this is a fake for sure. You can see them on eBay from Chinese sellers and Chinese sellers only. Unless an American seller gets a little sneaky and tries to resell them, I guess that's possible as well. I've seen it happen before, so I shouldn't completely rule it out. And now just moving on to some of the, I guess you could say, more slight details about the King. In 2009, he had a release with a Piston Cup here. It actually says the King Champion on it in very, very small black text. I don't know if we're going to be able to focus on this. Looks like it wants to focus on the King still, so There we go. You can see the King Champion written on there and Piston Cup. So it's very cool. It's in proportion. I really do like that because accessories just make and kind of add more to the entire Cars collection so you can recreate scenes, all that stuff. Now I do want to compare the race damage mood springs to the damage the King. They're very different, but they do have that one similarity of being damaged. You can see there. Mattel did a great job with both. Both have become very, very rare. Race damage mood springs is about twice as expensive as the King, but still, they're very, very rare. I personally like mood springs more because, I don't know, he just is so accurate to the movie. I really do love him. And the King I love as well. But, it's such a hard decision. Don't really want to just factor the King out here because mood springs has a mouth plate. I don't like mouth plates, so that's a negative for mood springs. But whatever. I guess I could do a video maybe on 2 in the future or something. That'd be kind of cool. I kind of want to branch off and do more specific videos in the future just because I kind of want to change it up, have some variety on my channel. So that is all for the variations of the King. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I kind of want to apologize for the unorganized aspect of the video. I've had some trouble recording lately with I don't know what's going on, guys. I'm kind of embarrassed by it, to be completely honest. I just have these problems with, doing my commentary. But this video seemed to do alright. I hope you guys did enjoy. Of course, happy birthday to Dinoco Blue 43. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And all 7 of these the Kings here wish you a happy birthday. Along with me, myself, RC Cars 5. 8 the Kings. We'll throw the gold one in there as well. And now we cannot leave without showing the entire King family. We got the King's wife, who sadly passed away kind of recently, I believe. 2013 maybe. This is Mrs. the King, aka Linda Petty, or as in the Cars movie, it's Linda Weathers. And we have most likely the King's son, Hank Weathers, here. And so we got the family. That's awesome. I really hope there's a scene like this maybe in the movie before Mrs. the King dies, because I'm sure she's dead in the Cars universe because she's based on a real life person. But, they might change it up. And here's Tex, who is not the King's dad. He is actually the owner of Dinoco, but they definitely had a pretty big relationship, or a very good relationship, in the movies. So, thank you guys very much for watching. As I've said before, hope you all enjoyed. And I'll see you guys next time for another video. Still working on the Doc Hudson flashback video. I will get out as soon as I can. Just want to make sure everything's good and, it's the best it can be. So, see you guys then. Hopefully you enjoy. Bye now.